Hello and welcome back. Today, we're going to dig into a question that sounds so simple, you've probably never even thought to ask it. But the answer? Well, it reveals something huge about what it means to be human.
I mean, really, why do we wear clothes? Why did you get dressed this morning? It seems like a totally obvious question, right? And I bet if you think about it for just a second, one very specific answer probably jumps right into your head.
And that answer is
Protection. Of course. We wear clothes to keep us warm when it's cold, to stay dry in the rain, to not get sunburned. It's the practical, logical, common sense answer. And for a long, long time, that was pretty much the accepted story. But what if that's not the real reason? What if all that practical stuff isn't the main thing driving us? What if there's a much more powerful, more primal human impulse at play here? Something that's less about just surviving and way more about telling a story. That impulse is adornment. It's this ancient, universal desire we all have to decorate ourselves. And it's not just about looking good, it's about expressing who we are, showing what group we belong to, and what we think is important. And believe me, this has been a human obsession since the very, very beginning. So let's start with the most obvious place, our clothes. How do we use the things we put on our bodies not just to cover up, but to decorate? You know, in the earliest societies, people were incredibly creative. They just used what was around them. Flowers, seeds, shimmering seashells, animal teeth, colorful feathers, you name it. And they weren't just grabbing random junk. They were making deliberate choices about color, texture, and shape, turning the natural world into a personal statement. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Because throughout history, this impulse to decorate ourselves, to make a statement, has often pushed practicality completely out the window. It's led to some, let's just say, truly extreme fashion choices. For starters, let's look at the poulon from medieval times. The length of your shoe's pointy toe was a direct signal of your social status. Commoners, they were limited to 6-inch toes. Gentlemen could rock 12 inches. But royalty could have toes up to 24 inches long. They were so absurdly long that people literally had to tie them back to their ankles just to walk without tripping. Then you have the Victorian corset. Its only job was to squeeze a woman's waist into the impossibly tiny shape that was considered beautiful in the 19th century. But this ideal came at a serious cost. The constriction was so extreme that taking a simple, deep breath was a constant struggle, all for a look. And if you think that sounds impractical, get this. In 18th century Europe, women wore something called a panier under their skirts to make them incredibly wide. We're talking so enormous that doorways and staircases literally had to be rebuilt to be wider just so they could fit through them. Think about that for a second. Fashion was actually reshaping architecture. But adornment isn't just about the clothes we put on. For many cultures throughout history, the ultimate form of decoration, the ultimate canvas, wasn't fabric. It was the body itself. And around the world, this has taken 4 really distinct and powerful forms. Actually reshaping the body through modification, creating patterns with scarification, using permanent ink for tattoos, and applying temporary colors through body painting. Body modification is probably the most permanent form of adornment. It's literally reshaping the human body to fit an ideal of beauty. You see it in practices like Chinese foot binding, which created tiny, so-called lotus feet, or the lip plates worn by Kichipo women in Sudan. They're so central to their identity that they feel undressed without them. And then you have the famous brass rings of the Padang tribe, used to create the illusion of a super long neck. In every case, the body itself is the work of art. Then there's scarification. In some African cultures, people make these incredibly intricate cuts on their bodies that heal into raised patterned scars. But these aren't just for decoration. They're like a living resume. They tell you that person is an adult, what tribe they belong to. Their whole story is told right there on their skin. And this process was a huge deal. It was a true rite of passage. To become an adult member of the tribe, you had to endure all that pain without showing any sign of distress. It was a test of character, a way to prove you were ready. And of course, there's tattooing. We might think of it as a pretty modern thing, but it is ancient. For the Thracians, tattoos showed your rank. For the Maori, their amazing facial tattoos told you everything about their heritage and status. Today, it's all over the world, but the core idea is exactly the same, creating a permanent, personal story on your skin. Finally, we've got the most temporary form, body painting. This often has its roots in sacred ritual. Just look at the stunning, elaborate makeup of a Kathakali dancer from India. This isn't just decoration, it's a key part of the performance. It's what transforms them from a person into a god or a hero, right there in front of the audience. And that ancient impulse is absolutely alive and well today. It is the exact same drive that fuels the modern, multi-billion-dollar cosmetics industry. The desire to paint our faces, to enhance and decorate, it's a direct link to these ancient traditions. So when you pull all of these different threads together, from impractical shoes to permanent tattoos, a really clear picture starts to emerge. So yeah, protection is a reason we wear clothes, but it is not the main reason. The deeper, more powerful motivation is adornment. It's a fundamental human drive that tells a story, and it's been with us from the very first person who strung a shell on a cord to the latest trend on the fashion runway. Which brings it all back to you. Every single day, you make choices about how you present yourself to the world. Your clothes, your hair, your makeup, your tattoos. You're taking part in this ancient human ritual. So the question is, what story are you telling?